Bienvenidos y welcome to the Brough podcast, where we're claiming our powerful intuition, our sacred medicina, embracing our magic and healing ancestral patterns, invoke powerful creations in our own well-being, our lives, familias, community, and our businesses. Remembering that our businesses are so important at this time. I'm the creatrix of this blogcast, the Brough herself, Vanessa Codorniu, a modern-day bruja, fourth-generation psychic medium, clinical hypnotist, energy healer, and soul biz mentor and coach. An Argentine-American who started reading adults at 16, became a professional intuitive at 22, and now guides creatives, intuitives, healers, and entrepreneurs to break through fears, connect to the practical power of their intuition so they can serve the world powerfully. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Bienvenidos to the fourth season of the Brough podcast. My name is Vanessa Codorniu, and I am your friendly neighborhood international global bruja in the house. I am so excited to be here. I didn't think I would make it, people. I did not think I would make it. I'm trying something new. I'm recording this on Zoom. There'll be a video and an audio. What I mean by I didn't think I would make it is that, folks had asked me to do una grabación, a podcast for years. And I was like, ay, no tengo tiempo. And then when I decided to do it, my dad passed, and then I kind of hung in there, and then my mom passed, and then my brother passed, and then we bought a house. All these things were happening at the end of 2019 into 2020. So to be able to say that I made 2023 and I'm still here with the podcast is huge, especially because having this podcast has been a huge lesson in releasing the idea of perfection. And that's not easy for somebody who has a stellium in Virgo, people. And a stellium is 2 or more planets in a particular sign. It makes it carry even more force and energy and reckoning when you have more than one planet in a particular sign. And the sign of Virgo, of course, the healer, the priestess, also the perfectionist. So as I begin today with this 2023 first podcast, I want to talk a little bit about the universal year 7, and I want to talk a little bit about the downloads. I still haven't finished processing everything that I've been through in the last 4 months. Last year was my 10th year full-time online. Now, when I tell you full-time, I ain't bullshitting, because people are always like, fake it till you make it. I hit my 6 figures 2012, 2013. With no big mailing list. I did have a mastermind in 2012 with Misha Moodley that set me up, to trust myself and succeed. But I had been doing readings since I was 16, haciendo energías y haciendo limpias, cleansings and clearings, and doing a lot of witchy work and really decolonizing spirituality, because reclaiming our ancestral gifts is a powerful, powerful rebellion against the status quo. And while we didn't call it that, 30 years ago, that's what we were doing. And some people did. One of my teachers, Starhawk, called it that. Dr. Marta Moreno Vega, and Santeria Yoruba priestess, actually a Yoruba priestess, and professor in New York City, who was my teacher in 2003. A lot of my teachers who are OGs, right? They would call it this. Beverly Little Thunder, who is Lakota and used to, and holds, sweat lodges for women gathering, where women gather. And I have the pleasure and the distinct honor y la gratitud profunda de estar con ella y su hija, Luciana Echevarria, for like 18 years of sweat lodging. And, whenever I came out of that sweat lodge, my life changed. So it's like every time we went into that festival, we'd be like, oh shit, because as you all know, we want our lives to change, but we want our lives to change the way we want them to change. And so when that happens is we're still holding on for control. And de la magia, la medicina of magic, of our spirit, of our soul, is that we release and we say, Spirit, guide me and align me. And we release that little human control. We take a little grubby paws off our lives, which, by the way, we don't really have anyway, right? We really don't have anyway. And we're like, okay, llévame, déjame ir. Give me some wings. Let me fly. Let me land correctly. Let me not use all of my 9 lives, my cat 9 lives, because I'm a cat mama and I love it. It's in my soul. But it's that act. And, that's what I want to talk about this year as well. We're still in the nodes of Taurus and Scorpio, right? The North Node has been in Taurus, embodying connection to our bodies, to our health, connecting to our money. How are we making our money? What is our self-value? What do we value on the planet? And then in the South Node, Scorpio, like deep ass motherfucking healing, okay? We've been going through shit. Even if our lives look like peaceful on the outside, we have been dragged. Even those of us who've been doing the damn work, we have been dragged in. And that's why I said I haven't finished integrating, but I felt like I had to come on, and I wanted to just talk and share for you from my heart in the moment. And so we're still in the North Node of Taurus. We're still in the North Node of Scorpio. We are still doing deep ass healing to become our own mujer medicina, our own, people medicina, our own healers, our own alchemists, which we've always been. It's been within us, in ourselves, in our soul, and our ancestral understanding. And we're still in that process. And we come into 2023, we still have now we have Mercury retrograde. We have Mars in Mars in Gemini retrograde. We still got all the actions where we're looking back, where we're reviewing, where we're looking at things, right? At the same time, the energy that came in for me this year and for many astrologers and psychics and healers was, let's not rush it. So for your folks, maybe when this comes out, my trainings for this year will be up, but they're not even up, okay? Because I didn't even want to do it out of oh my God, I got to make the money. I was just like, wait, pause, breathe, hold on to your little 2 pennies and your little dollars, and you're going to be all right. Because it really wasn't about just shoving through the machine, the capitalistic machine, though of course I support myself. I needed that moment. And so I want to invite you not to go into FOMO, fear of missing out, not go into, oh my God, I get out there and do my shit and push it through. You need to really ground. We need to really understand what we're coming into, because it's a universal number 7 year. Now, each and every one of us in numerology has our own personal year. And, for anybody who's like, oh, now you're doing numerology, I just want y'all to know that I've been doing it since I was 18 years old. It's just something that I don't lead with. But if anybody's ever done a coaching session with me, at some point, I do your birth numbers. This is, I've been a bruja with a lot of the ologies por mucho tiempo. So getting back to it. So we're going into a universal number 7. And this universal number 7, right, ruled by Neptune, is a spiritual number. The only rival that it has really in the numbers is the number 11, which is the spiritual messenger. So that one's next level spirituality. So we're coming into this universal number 7, which affects us all differently based on our own personal numbers. But as a collective, we're being invited to deepen in our knowing, to deepen into our roots. So I've already been doing this work a long, long time, but a lot of folks didn't know about this stuff. Of course, people were like, ay, mira que cute. Aquí tengo el cristal. Look at my little wand of selenite. Everybody was like, ay, que lindo, a rattle, or the accoutrements of spirituality, right? But I think that in 2019, 2020, people actually had the time to start taking Reiki, and thank you for everyone who signed up and did that work with me in the Escuela de Healing Artes. People started doing Akashic Records, Tarot. People started to reclaim their inner bruja. They started to reclaim their inner energy healer, to understand energy. But the issue was, and has been, what we didn't see at the time, and it didn't matter at the time, because what mattered in 2020 and what mattered in 2021 is that we showed the F up. We needed to show up for ourselves. We needed to show up for our ancestors. And so now coming into the end, we ended 2022. What wound up happening in 2022, which I noticed, was that a lot of people did a lot of courses, but they did it from the comfort of their yoga pillow behind a Zoom, right? And just for anybody who's new, who's never really who doesn't really know me, I grew up in a spiritual home. I had an altar since que era una niña, and now I have one over here. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'm going to pick it up. It's kind of messy, please ignore, right? So we have that over there. My ancestral altar, there's not even any candle lit on it, but it's been going on for décadas. Now, it doesn't matter that I had one for decades and you have one that just started maybe tomorrow or today. But what happened was that people at home who were doing all these trainings from the comfort of their home, though they were managing great change, though they were managing great unknown and fear, etc., they were still in the comfort of their home. They weren't, in general, dealing with what does it mean to be spiritual? What does it mean to be embodied in real effing life? Entonces, when we are not dealing with real effing life, we're like, I'm so spiritual, I'm enlightened, honey. Don't give me no bad vibes, right? We're doing all this shit. And that happens. Listen, back in when I was 20 something years old, I remember how I cut people off. It was not cute. I was like, I don't need your bad vibes, right? I don't do that anymore. I try to talk to people if I can. I cleanse them from behind the scene if I can, and send them love and energy and have them go on their merry way. But when you're still new on the spiritual path, you tend to go to extremes. That's what we all do. We go tick over here, talk over there. And somehow we start to like move gently into alignment of this space, right? Where we're not going into extremes. And so we went deep in 2020. We went deep in 2020, 21. 2022, we started to come out, do more retreats, do more classes in person. But that's where the break happened, where people who are like, yo, I'm the spiritual high priestess, goddess, and all this, el gran puba, la mujer medicina de vidas y vidas y vidas, which we can all be. But if you're using it as collateral, right? Like, listen, bitch, step back because I'm all that. Or if we are coming in and using the hierarchy of our spirituality, isn't that going completely contradictory to what we say that we're doing? If we're here, we're claiming as Latin and Latinx, our spirituality, right? And decolonizing and saying that hierarchical colonizer bullshit sucks, that we come in and they appropriate and take from us, then why are we now stepping out? And I say we, because I don't do this shit, but I'm just saying I have seen it. Why are people going out there like, I'm a priestess, I'm the grand poobah, bruja, step back, bitch. Like, what is that all about? That's just an ego. That's the ego having yet another form to bullshit in the world. So just remember that in 2022, sometimes people were throwing around their like certification and their bullshitation, y todo este bullshit. And now we're coming into 2023. It's showtime in a different way. It's not showtime on the grand stage. It's showtime in universal number 7. And so the universal number 7 is that number that's going to pull us into the inner workings of our spiritual self like nothing. Yes, we already went through that in 2020, right? A lot of fear, a lot of that. But the tools that we gained in 2020 helped us survive, right? 2021, we're still surviving, started to come into thriving in 2022. 2023 is the most spiritual number. As I said, the only other one who's more spiritual is like the number 11. It's the number of the philosopher. It's the number of the seeker. It's the number of solitude, of knowledge, of gathering, of going inward. And so in 2023, you're going to find that you have to be aware not to be pulled in by everything that's shiny. Okay, so I already talked about el bullshiteo of the spiritual persona that some folks have brought on. And it's a danger for anybody, right? So 2023 is saying you got to be real, because the number 7 is coming in to drag us in to face ourselves, right? And we've already been dragged. We already had to face. But now we're going to go in and understand what spirituality truly is. And I know, because I'm old enough to know people, I do not like to claim elderhood, okay? I do not. But you know what? The truth is I am an OG. And the truth is, that I don't want to claim elderhood, though, I'm going to love my wrinkles as they come in and thank spirit and thank Pachamama and thank, my existence for still being here, because I do want to age and I do want to go through life. I don't want to claim it. But the truth is I am an OG. The truth is I've been around longer than many, because there are other women my age out there, but they only really came out into the space in the last 2-3 years, or they really weren't holding space for others, right? In a spiritual manner. So I am an OG, and that means, and again, I'm not pulling hierarchy, I'm just saying I've been at it a long time. That means that I'm old enough to have witnessed people reading some old teacher's books and then re-vomiting it up. I'm old enough to see tweets and I'm like, this sounds like so-and-so, Stephen Arroyo. I pick up the tweet, I search it, boom, somebody copied his work. And I think he's in his 70s. I'm not sure. So maybe he's not tweeting. I don't want to be ageist. Maybe he can be. But what I'm saying is that I've been here long enough to see the phases of what we go through as we awaken, as we get excited and learn all the things, as we take on an attitude of, hey, I'm all this. And then the real embodiment comes in. And so number 7 is going to invite us to embody by going within. It's going to clear out a lot of bullshit, people. And so if you feel like tested, if you feel like you don't want to be so public, it's the number 7. And this needs to happen because look, Twitter and TikTok and IG, which I'm on mainly IG, FB, all the social media platforms, they've hooked into astrology, they've hooked into spirituality as a money-making thing, and it's become glamorous, it's become, and it always maybe was. And so people have moved towards these spaces to get some of that fabulousness, right? To have something to hold on to. And that's okay, right? Because when we're suffering, we're in pain, we may move into spaces that we don't know if they're legitimately for us. And this year is going to inform folks. Is my spirituality really just for me and my family? Or is my spirituality my brand and my sacred path and my sacred work? And there's nothing wrong because, by the way, folks, I started reading people at 16 for free. But I didn't want to do this shit for my life because I knew what it would entail. And let me tell you, though, this has changed in my life now. Being someone who sees, feels, hears, and knows shit, like me, right? I don't need a card, honey. I did tarot reading for 20 years. I don't need a card. I don't need to even breathe and open a record because I've been doing it for so long, though I do it in my readings, right? I do open the records. I want to create sacred safe, a sacred container, a safe space. I don't need a card. I don't need a rune because it's like, see, en el oído, blah, 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 oh, Vanessa, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't want to know about them, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, shut up already, blah, blah, blah. And so this year, I think everyone's going to become more intuitive and people are going to recognize and realize, is this spiritual path really for me to be a public coach and a teacher and an expert? Or is it for me, for my life? And like I said, when I was earlier a psychic and I started training in Reiki at 21, 22, all these things. Yo no quería hacer este trabajo. I didn't want to do this work, which is completely different now. People now don't even think about being spiritual or going to therapy or doing the work. They've been like, I'm going to be a spiritual hero. I'm going to be a psychic. And I was like, wait a minute. Why are you jumping from 0 to 150, right? And it's okay. Times change. But I want you to know, I am an OG, but I've also studied with the OGs. And even recently, right? Even recently, last year, in 2021, I finished my training with the Inca Medicine Schools in Yustapaco, walking the Inca Andean medicine path. And so I'm still a baby in that tradition. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I will for the rest of my life. And now I finished the Sacred Women's School. Even 27 years later from my first initiation, I'm still learning. I'm still deepening in my gifts. And so please, I ask of you in this podcast, that's really me kind of like talking about what's coming down, allow yourself to be. If you really are called to be a spiritual healer and a spiritual worker and a spiritual business owner, allow it to flow through you. Do not push it. There is time. There is time because the more prepared you are, the better it'll be. And at the same time, don't hold back if you're being called. If you're being called to do readings, if you're being called to do healings, if you're being called to teach workshops, also don't hold back. So this is beautiful balance of, step forward, serve the community, show up, do what your soul is calling you. And at the same time, don't pressure yourself or aferrarse, like, tie into, root into, get overly attached to this idea of being the spiritual entrepreneur. I'm going to make it overnight. This is a spiritual path. A lot of folks talk to me about spiritual business all the time. It's so different from a regular business. So I think even a regular business has spiritual elements, right? Because everything is spiritual, right? The personal is the political. Well, guess what? The spiritual is the political and the personal is the spiritual. Everything is interconnected. We are mind, body, and spirit. Everything that we do, how we live, how we connect to others, how we relate to ourselves, to our bodies is spiritual. And so everything is spiritual. But what I'm talking about is particular spiritual business is one where you are serving your clientele through spiritual services, priestesshood, oracular, astrology, psychic work. That is going to require of you 1, time, 2, practice, 3, patience, 4, surrender, 5, really good community support, maybe a really good mentor, and a mentor who's not just educated in like the latest technique, but a mentor who's actually succeeded on their own, so they can also bring you the energy of success and hold that container of success with you and for you as you also move through your journey, right? And yes, if anybody wants to talk to me about that, I've got some openings. So you could always write me. I'll put that information in the body of the podcast. But just know not to pressure yourself and know that this universal number 7 is going to ask us all to embody the spiritual practices and the spiritual techniques that we've been learning. Now, it's very cute in the meme world, and I share them too, in the meme world to make fun of shit, to be catty, to be all bitchy about our spirituality. But the real ass truth, at least for me, of being in service for over 2.5 decades is one of compassion. I'm not catty on a regular basis, my people. I could laugh at that meme like anybody else, but we have made it, chic. We've made it cool. We've made it trendy to be bad bitches spiritually. And that's cute. And I love the memes. But when you're a spiritual teacher and you're a spiritual healer, right? It doesn't mean that you're not going to come out and also be tough with someone to invite them to be strong. It is a place of compassion. It is an honor to serve. And so I've heard people who say to me, oh, I'm just going to go in because it's like so trendy right now. I'm going to make so much money. Good luck. Good luck with that only, colonizer, capitalistic perspective. I really feel in my heart that the folks who are called deeply to this work are going to be able to put in the time and put in the energy and put in and invest their own money and invest their own time, invest their soul into growing something that will impact thousands of people, or it can maybe impact a couple of hundred. The number of people that we impact is not important. It really isn't. Remember, when we think of spirit, the important thing is to shine our light, to be fully embodied in all the mess and all of the pain and all of the joy, and this holy combination of this sacred unknown that we embody, because we don't know. And as you all know, from losing half my family in 2020 in 1 year, even being psychic medium, though I was warned, even being spiritual, even being able to do trabajo and work and things like that, are not going to keep people around if they're supposed to go. And so our brujeria, our medicina is in service to what's in the highest alignment, not to our whims. And the memes that are out there are all about the whims. They're all about the catty bitch witch, right? Which again is fucking hilarious. Like, I think it is hilarious. But if you're talking about being a spiritual example, a spiritual light in this world, and we need authentic spiritual light, we need authentic healers. It's not about telling people off. At least in my way. Maybe there's something Brough out there is like, nah, bitch, you got it wrong. And I honor you. If that's why you want to work it, go ahead. But I already did that in other lifetimes. I'm sure that my contract says, girl, it's all about compassion and love, and go with the flow, be strong, be rooted, keep flowing, and work with those who want to work with you, who are in alignment with you. Let's not create harm. There's so much harm in the world. Historically, for our ancestors, in present times, there is ancestral trauma being created around the planet right now. And so, as an aware and awake healer, spiritual, bruja, healer that you are, I ask you this year moving forward, endeavor not to create more harm. Endeavor to leave spaces better than you found it, even if that means you must be silent in that moment. Be kind, be grounded, and of course, remove yourself from situations and people who are not in alignment, of course. But know that our light cannot be dimmed even by the systemic racism and homophobia and oppression that is rampant in this planet. And in order for us to fight that, and in order for us to be the power that changes and breaks these chains once and for all, because that's what we've been doing. Our Bruja ancestors have been doing that. We're trying to do that. We're doing it. It's for us to be grounded in our worth. It's for us to be grounded in our strength. It's for us to do our spiritual practices. And so in 2023, we're going to need our spiritual practices more than ever. Pay attention to the cycles, pay attention to the moon, grab a rattle when you're not feeling good. And call spirit forward. And allow yourself to close your eyes. And if you allow yourself to deepen en este camino sagrado, the sacred path, asking your well ancestors, asking this new moon, this full moon in Cancer that's coming, to guide you in nourishing and nurturing your own spirit, and asking, where do I most need to love and accept myself? What energy most needs for me to embody it right now? Taking another deep breath in. And breathing in the energy that needs to be embodied. Imagining our well ancestors surrounding us. Imagining our beautiful healing team, nuestro equipo de medicina, puro, claro, conectado, arraigado a la tierra Pachamama, connected to Mother Earth, rooted in this present moment, and calling in our cosmic guides. We are cosmic beings having an earthly experience. And taking another deep breath in and exhaling and allowing yourself to go deeper, feeling your fingertips vibrating, your toes vibrating, your body, your energy flowing, and creating your own prayer for this year of spiritual embodiment, this year of true spiritual knowing. How do we take the knowledge that we've learned, the classes we've taken, and embody them into our knowing, into our way of life, into our way of walking, breathing, being? As we allow ourselves to continue breathing in, asking our deepest knowing, our higher self, what do I most need to know right now? And breathing in. And knowing that within minutes, hours, and days, we're going to receive these answers. What most needs to be embodied within me right now? What most needs to be nourished? What do I most need to know right now at this moment in this time? And giving thanks now to our body, to our mind and spirit, the elements of spirit, fire, water, earth, air, our well and wise ancestors, our cosmic guides. And taking another breath in and gently returning. Thank you for going along with me. I didn't plan it that way, but spirit made me grab that rattle, make me shake it. I say, okay. And so I hope that these words have served you. For those of you that are aware and know about the number 7 and perhaps have seen the Bullshiteo that I'm talking about, It's okay. Sometimes people don't know any better. And, there by the grace of the goddess and Pachamama go us, right? Maybe it's some lifetime we were running around all ego-y about our shit, spiritual shit. And hopefully we're not doing it now. And if we are, may we awaken, may we be grounded in our deepest wisdom and our greatest love, because at the end of the day, we're really here to love. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to take people's shit. Doesn't mean that we have to love the enemy and live with them. We can love them from afar. But as we move through this life as this really beautiful spiritual cosmic being, remembering itself and tapping into inner resources that allow us to shape shift, time bend, and manifest that which is within us, right? That's what we're doing. We're remembering what badass mofos we truly are on this earth in this moment. And so I'm sending you all so much love. Thank you for being here. If you're new, know that I'm usually interviewing folks and maybe doing stuff around a particular moon. But this really was something that I felt called to do, to talk about these aspects around the numerology of the universal numerology of the number 7, the solitude, the seeker, the wise one, us going deep within. Remember, this is the year to really live our spiritual practices. It's not just for Instagram. It ain't just for TikTok. It's how do we breathe and flow? And so when you're experiencing challenges, when you're experiencing pain and sadness, grab that rattle, put on that song, get that agua florida, get the egg, do the limpia, call a sister, call a brother, call a brujiyx. Do the work, because that's what we're meant to do. It's not just to be cute. It's to be real. It's to be grounded. It's to be powerful. And it's to be the change that our ancestors have worked so hard for. Así que bendiciones. Gracias por estar aquí. The full moon tomorrow. And by the way, everyone, I don't think I've talked about this. I have a very intimate group called Brough Rising. Brough Rising is $29.99 for anybody who's not within the School of Healing Artes already. And it's $21.99 for folks who are in the school. We only do 2 things in that group, 2 things only, so you don't have to commit too much. Every month, we have a new moon gathering. It's live. We call in the circle, we call in the magic, and we set the intentions in the alignment of that new moon. And then for the full moon, we do a full moon Brough Oracle office hours. What is that? People come in, we ground, we talk a little bit about the astrology of the full moon, and then we open the records and people ask questions and they get direct answers from their guides. People have told me that it's like thousands of dollars worth of coaching, because they're like, literally, I'm paying like $21.99 or $29.99. And I get this new moon intention setting. And then I get this full moon where like literally deep stuff is addressed. I mean, people have come in where their guides have told them about a health condition. They run off and like, oh my God, you're right. Like the kidneys or this, that is happening. Or the job opportunity came in. So if you're interested in Brough Rising, let me know. I'll put the link in. Sending you all so much love. Things are changing up in 4 seasons. I'm so excited to be here. I'll be coming out in my courses. As y'all know, I do certifications in Reiki level 1, 2, and 3, Akashic Records. We do Nacimos Mágicas, 8-week, reclaiming our ancestral soul gifts. And I do a lot of one-on-one ancestral healing. I'm doing a Shift Network ancestral hypnosis healing training. Healing session right now. It's about to end. It's been 7 weeks, but I'm going to be doing it in Espanol, and a lot more amazing stuff around building your business is going to be coming out. So mucho amor, gracias, bendiciones. Don't forget, it's the full moon. Get a velita out, take a baño, get an egg out, do a prayer, cleanse yourself before you wreck yourself. All right, my loves. Mucho amor, gracias, bendiciones.